Hello everyone, this is Caleb Simpson, and you are watching my 100% walkthrough of The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword for Nintendo Wii. With the Earth Temple complete, our next objective is to return to Skyloft and put the Amber Tablet in the statue of the goddess. So go find a bird statue and go to the sky! So this video, I have things kind of sandwiched. I have required stuff, then optional stuff, then required stuff. So first of all, the things you have to do for main storyline things is go to Skyloft and place the Amber Tablet in the statue of the goddess. This will unlock the Lanayru region. Now before you head there, you do want to swap out your shield. If you have the Iron Shield on currently, that's bad because enemies will electrocute you there, and that'll make more sense once you get there. I think there's technically only one place in the upcoming dungeon where you are absolutely required to have a shield, and I'm not sure if it's bad if you have the Iron Shield for that specifically. So that's the only place that's required in the game to have a shield. But I would recommend you use the wooden shield. I think it's safer. It's also what you can use on all the other enemies there. In particular, some of the enemies in the next upcoming dungeon. So that all being said, as far as required things, I recommend you swap out your shield right now, go to the bazaar, talk to the item check chick, and swap out your shield, and then after that you can hang out with me for the next little while, where I'm going to do optional stuff, getting Goddess Chest and getting an adventure pouch slot from Beetle, and then I'm going to continue on to Lanayru Mine. So otherwise, if you aren't interested in all this optional stuff, you can go ahead and skip to about halfway through the video, where I move on to Lanayru. So as I mentioned a little bit ago, it is important to swap out your shields, and that is because there's a majority of the enemies that we're about to face in the next region will hurt you if you have your Iron Shield. Lanayru is known for having a lot of electric enemies, and unfortunately, if you have the Iron Shield equipped, then enemies will electrocute you even easier. So you want to take off the Iron Shield and then equip the Banded Shield instead. So swap those out with the item check, put the Iron Shield in the bank so you don't have to deal with it. And I will just say, as a side comment, I think that honestly, like, of the different regions, Lanayru gets the most benefit of a shield. Like, it's the most helpful to have a shield for Lanayru out of all the things. So even if you're gonna, like, not use shields for the most part, if you take out a wooden shield for Lanayru, that is the best one that you can use it for, if that makes sense. Another thing that is very useful for this next area is actually bombs. It's kind of ironic. We just left the bomb area, but actually bombs are extremely useful for the next zone we're heading to. So I would recommend that you get a bomb bag from Rupin. This allows you to carry an extra 5 bombs. Just like the small seed satchel that we have in our inventory, it does the same thing. So as long as you have enough slots for it, you can buy this. And so only do this if you have a lot of rupees and you have enough space in your pouch. Now you might have enough stuff to actually upgrade some stuff with Gondo, but we are missing a lot of materials right now, so you'd only be able to upgrade like one thing. So like right now, for example, I can upgrade a bomb bag once. Right now is about all I can afford. And just about everything else I can't. But a lot of the resources we need, actually, we're about to get in this next area. So what's going to happen is I'm actually going to go to this next area, and then I'm going to get a bunch of resources, and I'm going to come back here and upgrade all this stuff before I enter the temple. So I'll upgrade like 4 or 5 items. I can't even remember how many I do. I do a lot, though. Regardless, it's great. So yeah, the only thing I can basically do right now is I could upgrade this small bomb bag to a medium bomb bag, and it would allow me to carry up to 10 bombs if I did that. I will be doing this here later in just a little bit. So one of the reasons why I went to the bazaar first is to use some of our rupees, because we're about to get a whole bunch of rupees from goddess chests that are out here in the sky that we got for unlocking goddess cubes on the surface. And 2 of those lead to rupees. One of them is 100 rupees, another one is 300 rupees. So that's 400 rupees. We need to make sure we have enough space in our wallet to carry that. Also, I technically have enough rupees right now to go ahead and purchase the adventure pouch slot from Beetle, but I also want to purchase the extra wallet up there, which costs 100 rupees as well, and I don't quite have enough for all of that. So I'm going to go get these other rupees from the chests. But anyways, just assess like how much rupees you have and what you can purchase, so that you don't end up wasting any rupees, because if you're close to your rupee limit and then you open these chests, you will end up wasting a lot. It just is awful for the 300 rupee ones. If you're like really full and you only have room for like 40 rupees, and then you open this chest and you waste, you know, like 260 of it or whatever. It's just awful. This first chest leads to 300 rupees, and the related goddess cube for this one is just to the left of the Earth Temple entrance, and so there was like a soft soil location that you dig up, and you throw a bomb flower into it, or regular bombs now that we have access to that, and then this blows up the rocks there, and right behind it is a goddess chest, or goddess cube, excuse me. This next chest leads to 100 rupees, and the related goddess cube for this one is the one in Eldin. It's right after that area where you're first learning how to use the bomb flowers. There's like a Magma there who is like teaching you how to roll it and throw it at various walls. There's like, you're surrounded by all these cracked blocks and stuff like that, and so you blow them all up. So just past that little corridor with the fire keys, there's a bird statue, and you go straight ahead, and the road forks around, and you go straight, and around that little volcano thing on the left side, there is a goddess cube there. This next chest leads to a treasure medal, which is awesome, and I'll talk more about that in a second. The related goddess cube for this is also in Eldin, like just to the right of the Earth Temple entrance. You turn right, and there's like a Bokoblin camp there where you fight them all and you blow up this tower. And right before you go across the tower, that becomes a bridge that you can use to get across the gap. If you turn to the right, there's like this lower ledge where you can go down, and there's a goddess cube there. So that's where that one is. Now, to get to this particular chest, what you have to do is you have to climb the vine. You go in the upper part of this little island floating here, and then you climb down the vines that are on one side. So you stand really close to it, press A to like flip around and get down here so you can start climbing, and just follow the vine path, which leads to a chest containing a treasure medal. What the treasure medal does is, as long as you have it in your inventory, then treasure is more likely to appear from enemies. So when you defeat enemies, like Keys will drop monster claws, and Chew Jelly will drop, Choo Chews will drop Chew Jelly. So like that. So you just keep defeating enemies, and the percent chance that they have to drop stuff is much increased. Now, unfortunately, I do not have enough space for this, so this went to the item check. But I will be purchasing an adventure pouch slot here soon. The reason I did not purchase it ahead of time is because I assumed that a lot of people did not have that many rupees. But now that we've been getting all these rupees from this chest, these chests, plural, you should have enough money that you can purchase that now, so you can have the treasure medal in your inventory. I would recommend that. Like, you could, if you are missing, don't have as many adventure pouch slots as I do, then I would recommend that you get rid of the small seed satchel, and then instead wear the bomb bag and the treasure medal. The treasure medal is super valuable. So this last chest that we're going to get in the sky has a small seed satchel in it, and it's actually kind of ironic because the goddess cube related to this one is actually the one that is right at the entrance of Eldin. When you first enter Eldin and you're flying down, and then Fi has that description about Eldin Volcano or whatever, at the very, very beginning, you go straight forward and there is a goddess cube right across the edge. So that's where this one's located. If you did not have that, if you did not talk to that bird statue, that would be a little bit awkward to get back to, but you can create some shortcuts halfway up the mountain to get back to the entrance area a little bit easier. Anyways, that creates a chest here that has a small seed satchel in it, which is actually kind of ironic because I went ahead and I bought a small seed satchel right before I went to Eldin, but it's actually kind of redundant because as soon as you get to Eldin, literally the first thing you do is you get a goddess cube that leads to a small seed satchel. So you could have technically done, just like grabbed that and then went straight to the sky, got the small seed satchel, and then gone back to Eldin. You could have technically done that. The reason that I bought a small seed satchel from Rupin in the videos right before Eldin was because I just had so many rupees and I might as well, and it's really handy. I'm going to get more rupees than I need for this walkthrough, so I'm not worried about it. But anyways, just an interesting observation. It was kind of redundant because we literally, the very next thing that happened is we got the requirements to get a free small seed satchel. It also brings up an interesting point, though. You can technically have multiple, like, small seed satchels and bomb bags and stuff in your inventory, so you can, as many as you want, really. And so you could carry something like crazy, like 90 bombs or even more, like 120 bombs. You could carry that many if you just filled up all of your slots with bomb bags. It's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, there's no reason to do that, and it would take a while to fill it up by just collecting bomb flowers, but you could. So it's kind of an interesting thing, and along those same lines, you can have as many as you want and just put them in the item check until you run out of room anyways. But you can also sell items directly from the item check, which is an interesting thing. I'm not sure how that works with medals because there's only a certain number of medals in the game, and you can only get them from very specific things, so I'm not sure if that works for that. But I know you can sell, like, so small seed satchels and stuff like that directly from Peatrice in the item check. You can just, while you're viewing her thing, she has a button off to one side where you can drag the items over and sell them directly. I've never actually done that before, but I know it's a thing, and I don't know if it sells for a reduced cost or something. I assume so. So next, head on over to Beetle's Air Shop where we can purchase the Adventure Pouch slot, and if you have enough money, you can also buy the extra wallet for 100 as well. Now, I have more than enough rupees. If you have to pick and choose, I would definitely choose the Adventure Pouch slot. But yeah, now that we have completed those goddess chests, whatever, you should have gotten 400 rupees just from that, which is awesome. Now, with all these wallet upgrades, this actually brings us up to a pretty decent amount. If you've been doing the stuff with Batro to get the goddess or gratitude crystals, so you got the wallet upgrade from him, the medium wallet from him, and we have all the 3 different extra wallets that we've been purchasing. So I purchased 2 extra wallets before. This is the third and a final one, I believe. I think he only has 3. So this is the last extra wallet that he has, and that'll increase it by another 300. So now I can hold a total of 1,400, which is pretty decent amount of rupees, honestly. And, you know, I'm okay with that. You know, it's pretty good. You know, we got 1,400. Like, it's a pretty healthy amount. I'm content with that for the rest of the entire game. I'll be able to do whatever I want, and I can come back to Skyloft and buy stuff before I get full. Although, as a comment, though, too, the more capacity you have, the better, because we are going to be getting larger rupee amounts from here on out. Like, we found, you know, a silver rupee in the Earth Temple earlier. and that's awesome. But we're going to find more of those moving forward, as well as gold rupees. That's right, you're going to find 300 rupees out in the wild. So there's gold rupees, they're out in the wild, they're super effective, and they're shiny. So if you've got to catch all them rupees, you're going to need the capacity to hold it. So next we're heading back to the item check, where I'm going to swap out, or now that I have that adventure pouch slot that I just bought from Beetle, I can now hold that treasure medal that Peach Reese is currently holding on to because it warped to her bank or whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, one other quick comment to make is that her dialogue changes throughout the course of the game. And the reason for this is because she's part of a side quest. What causes her dialogue to change is actually sleeping in a bed and then waking up the next morning. Every time that you sleep until the next morning, her dialogue changes and it progresses that side quest forward. So you want to talk to her every once in a while. Now, I have just naturally been sleeping in beds just throughout the game for other side quests, so it's not really a big deal. So her side quest will progress naturally on its own. So I'm not like going out of my way necessarily to do that, but I just have been using the item check naturally as I'm progressing through the game. So that is progressing her side quest on the side. So I'm just commenting on that. Alright, so that's all the goodies we could get in Skyloft for now, basically. So fly on over to the next area, which is the yellow beam of light that is now open in the sky. It's to the far, far east. So head on over to this area, and one of the things we could do, technically you could actually upgrade some more stuff with Gondo. However, we're missing a lot of materials that we need for that, and a lot of those things that you need, we're actually going to get in this first little area of Lanayru. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do this whole first section of Lanayru, unlock the temple, and then before I actually enter, I'm going to fly back to Skyloft and upgrade my gear, and then come back to Lanayru. So that's my plan. Welcome to Lanayru. So I'm going to use C so that it stops whining at me. But other than that, the two things that you really want to do before you continue onwards is speak with the bird statue. You want to talk to it. You don't have to save at it per se, but as long as you talk to it, you can activate it. Otherwise, you will not be able to warp back to this location. If you have to backtrack, it's really awkward. In particular, if you forget this. Just behind the tower, there is a goddess cube, and so you want to activate that with the Skyward Strike. This particular one leads to 100 rupees. There's also some new bugs that we can get in this location, and one of the first ones you see here is a cicada. So you want to go ahead and capture this if you want real quick. There is also a bunch of rocks nearby, which you can uncover with nearby bomb flowers. It doesn't really lead to anything exciting, though. Occasionally it can lead to 20 rupees, though, so I'm just going to go blow them up real quick, but I'm going to fast forward through all that because it's not really super important. Now you'll notice that there is a chest on an upper ledge, however we can't actually reach that yet. It requires an item that we will get much later in the game. So just ignore that for now. When you're done messing around here, then continue on and enter the mine shaft straight ahead. Now, if you've been following along with me, you should have a treasure medal in your inventory, and this will make enemies far more likely to drop treasure. So these keys will be more likely to drop monster claws, and these upcoming slimes, or the gels, choo-choos. Blah. Slimes, gels, choo-choos, they're all they're the same thing. They keep changing the name. So grab the minecart and push it forward until it falls off the edge. And here we have a new enemy called Yellow Choo-choos, and these guys will actually electrocute themselves every couple seconds, and then the rest of the time they're vulnerable. So they kind of alternate back and forth between being electric and not. You want to not attack them when they're electric, otherwise they will zap you. This can be a little bit awkward when you're fighting multiple of them at a time, because one of them can be electric and the other one isn't, and if they're nearby and you use horizontal slashes or whatever, you might regardless, you might kill one and you might zap yourself on the other one, so it's a little bit awkward. And this is one of the reasons why I recommended you get the small bomb bag from Rupin in town, is because then if you have multiple bombs, you can actually use them to defeat them instead. So if you're not sure what to do, especially for bigger Yellow Choo-choos, you can actually just use bombs instead, and that will allow you to defeat the bigger ones especially. Because the bigger ones, they split into little guys, and you gotta be careful because the little ones will suddenly... Usually when Yellow Choo-choos separate, they almost immediately start zapping, and that can be a problem. So if you use bombs instead, it'll actually take a big one and just blow it up instantly, and it dies, even though it's huge. When you enter this next area, you'll see a cinematic just showcasing the area and showing this crystal in the middle. You want to run forward and smack it with your sword or hit it with any of your other items, and this will cause it to create a field in which it brings everything to the past. So in the past, apparently, there was all these robots and all this technology, and now in the present, everything has run out of power and is worn down. It is a little bit weird because it affects everything else around us, and it also creates other interesting things. For example, there is often a new type of treasure we can get here called Ancient Flowers. You want to grab these. You need at least one of them to complete the game, but I would recommend you get several more because we're going to use them to upgrade some of our gear. So just keep an eye out for flowers. They're usually along the edges of grassy areas. But anyways, you can talk with the robots if you want to. A lot of them basically just tell you to go away. They're like, it's too dangerous here. You shouldn't be here. And don't play with time shift stones. And apparently these robots are collecting time shift stones. There's some kind of ore that's here in the dirt in Lanayru. And these robots are using them as a power source. So some of these robots are kind of humorous. I think like these ones are really basic. They don't really have anything super interesting to say, although they do comment that what they're doing is they're collecting the ore and then they're going to send it to Lanayru mining facility to process it. Unfortunately, it looks like the power has gone out for all of the areas in the entire Lanayru region, which is really sad. All these robots are just all hunks of junk, I guess, but it is weird. Like, I don't know, it feels like they're extinct or something, but although now I look at it, it's almost like it just is their power source. So it's like it was always like that for them. You know what I mean? This just is their existence. Either they're doing stuff or they're out of power, and that's just how it is. What's weird about it, though, is that you can only activate one time shift stone at a time, and you can't have more than one, which doesn't... I don't know how they would survive as a species otherwise, but you can go ahead and hop in the minecart cart if... I keep trying to say Minecraft. That's not what I'm trying to say. You can hop in the minecart if you want to, and this brings you to a little alcove area all by itself. And there's nothing really interesting in here except for a chest containing 20 rupees. The robots in here don't really have anything interesting to say, so hop back into the minecart. This is a dead end. But if you look back through the other area, you'll see that there is actually another set of tracks, and it leads back to a previous area where there is another minecart, but it's back in the... Well, it's not in the past, it's in the present. So we're in the past area right now, but if you go back here, you'll see there's a minecart that is in the present. So if you grab it and drag it over to the power field, then it will allow it to be powered, and we can use it to enter the next door. I like filling up my bomb bags whenever I can, but especially when I see two of them together like this, two bomb flowers, it's like so nice. You can just alternate back and forth so they reappear really quickly. So you can just be like, nom 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 nom. In this room, all we have to do is actually just use the nearby bombs. You don't actually have to do this next step, but if you like, you can blow up all the rocks to get some goodies. Now make sure you grab any ancient flowers you see. What I did here is I actually placed two bombs relatively close together so that the first explosion blew up the second bomb, so it blew up all of them at the same time. Now you can only have one time shift stone activated at a time, so I hit this one, this activated all the stuff in this room, and this is something you have to do if you're trying to go backwards. Like if you come from a later location and you need to go through this doorway, going back through the mine, then you have to use this time shift stone. That's the reason it's here, but you can also talk to these particular robots. Will give you some more interesting information. The ones out in the other area just give you some real basic information. They're super vague. What we need to do to progress is you want to throw a bomb into the hands of the nearby statue thing. I don't know what you'd even call these. Okay, I'll just call it a statue. I don't know what else you'd call it. It's like a wall, something. I don't know. A bomb wall? Bomb wall. Maybe I'll call it that. Bomb wall, because it's not really a statue. I don't know. Robot wall, that's what I'll call them. Now, something to know here, we have quicksand, and you can run across it, or sink sand is what they call it in this game. You can run across it with A, because if you just walk through it, you're going to sink. So you run across it with A, use all your stamina. Ugh, it's awful. And hopefully you find some stamina fruit. But just in general, it uses a lot of stamina, but here's a trick for it. You can actually jump before you ever get in the sand, and you'll use less stamina. So how this works is you hold Z, and then while holding Z, you can actually move around with the analog stick and press A to jump. You can do it in whatever direction, but you can jump forward and then keep holding A. So you jump forward, you hold Z, hold forward, press and hold A, and then release Z as you land. And what'll happen is you'll start running and using stamina when you land. So it's weird. Hold Z, hold forward, hold A, release Z, but keep holding forward and A. So Z forward A, let go of Z is how that works. And what happens is you use less stamina. It uses like 1/8 less stamina because you do that whole distance before you ever even start using stamina. And I've tested it a lot. It is definitely a thing. I'm not sure in the exact amount. It's like a one slice or a half of a slice of stamina pie, whatever you want to call that. But it is definitely a thing, and it is significant. It's just a little bit, but what happens is it's cumulative. Like, it all adds up. You run across one gap, then you run across the next gap, and every little bit adds up, and it saves you a lot of stamina. so you don't have to wait around as long, which everybody likes not having to wait around. You know, any little thing you can do to make this a little bit nicer is good. So off to the right, there is a little alcove that leads to a small chest containing 20 rupees, which is great, and there's also a bunch of Lanayru ants. So you smack these jars and they have ants in them, and the number of ants is somewhere between 1 and 3. So this one, the second time I did it, this one had 2 of them in it. But ants are kind of weird, like, because they spawn so many, there's actually a great place to farm for them later. In the Lanayru Desert, but you can get them in large batches. It kind of depends. Because they spawn like that, where they could be 3, you could, like, smash a couple jars or some bushes or whatever, or dig them up, and you get 6 of them all in one batch. And so you could get a lot of ants, or you could get not a lot at all. But yeah, when I got to sand, this is one of the first things I tried in this game. When I got to this area, I was, like, squinting at the screen. I'm like, how can I, like, not use as much stamina? Because I was noticing you only ever use stamina when you're running anyway, so I just thought, like, you don't use stamina when you're jumping. So I just tested it out, and sure enough, it worked. But one of the things that I find really weird about that is that I've watched a lot of other people play this game too, and I've only ever seen one other person use this trick. And I don't know, I mean, I don't know if it's like a commonly known thing for like speedrunners or whatever, or whatever, but it just seemed like such an obvious thing to try to me. It just surprised me that a lot of people didn't think to do that. Or at least that's been my observation due to the sample size of the people that I have watched play this otherwise. But anyways, that's just one little observation. So here we have a new enemy called Electric Spumes. They're literally the exact same thing as the fire variety we saw in the Earth Temple. But I recommend that you take them out with bombs. And the nice thing about bombs is they'll roll across unlike the fire ones, they'll blow up as soon as they come in contact with lava. But on the sand here, you can actually roll bombs across the sand, which is great. Now when you get to the far side, it's actually, you have barely enough stamina to do it. It's actually, you cut it real close if you don't use the Z targeting trick. So I like to do that here, especially is where I really recommend it. It makes it, so you can run out of stamina and you can barely climb up the ledge, so it's like really helpful to do it there. Up ahead we have some keys. What I like to do is I like to blow up these rocks too, so my goal is to try and get these keys to blow up in the explosion too. I didn't really quite do it in time, but another fun thing you can do, I just find it kind of amusing, you can actually shield bash keys. Just the animation looks kind of funny to me, they're just dizzy on the ground. But funnily enough, you can actually use a fatal blow on them to defeat them after that. And up ahead we have a single bomb flower that you need to use on all these rocks up ahead. We're just going to fast forward through a lot of this, but yeah, just fill up your bomb bag as you're doing this, but basically you just keep throwing bombs over and over again. The rocks at the very far edge, you just keep rolling bombs across the way, and it blows up to reveal a time shift stone. So you can smack it with something else, you can use the beetle, you can use the slingshot, or you can use more bombs. But either way, activate that, and then there is a Quadra Baba that appears, and you want to use a bomb on that as well. If you roll a bomb towards it, then it will actually gobble it up, and it will explode, so that'll defeat it too. So just do all that stuff and keep hanging out here until your bomb bag is full. In this next alcove, we have some dragonflies, or Gerudo dragonflies. I think these ones are Lanayru dragonflies, actually. But these guys are, they're pretty flighty. Like, unlike the butterflies, they actually will run away from you pretty quickly. But what I like to do is just get real close to them and then swipe them. Like, you just have a quick flick of the wrist. It doesn't even have to be that far. You just like, just barely move it, and it will defeat them. I like to blow up these rocks here to get some goodies. Sometimes they have red rupees underneath them. It looks like these ones didn't, actually. But otherwise, again, just use bombs on the Quadra Baba up ahead. And then once you jump to this ledge, you'll find a chest. This contains rare treasure. Now, in my case, I got a golden skull. I was actually kind of hoping for like an evil crystal or, honestly, a goddess plume. I think is the most rare. At this point, you can actually just jump right back the way we came. Otherwise, you can hop down because this floor is now solid because we're in the past. So you can run right across it. It's nice and easy. And the next thing you want to do is you want to pull the minecart forward into the past. And this will activate it so we can take it through the nearby doorway. Now, that's all great. One thing I forgot to do is I should have really checked that area. The sand area that is now in the past, there's usually ancient flowers there, and I should have checked. I noticed it right as I was leaving this area later. When I hop in the minecart, I realized belatedly after the fact that there was an ancient flower there that I missed. So just make sure to check that too. Now, before we continue onwards, I am going to get a bunch of bomb flowers and fill up my bomb bag. There actually is a bomb flower just on the other side of the door, too. I just like to have bombs as much as possible. It's just the principle of the thing. I have to fill up my bomb bag. So hop in the minecart, which I already pulled forward earlier, and I saw in the distance the ancient flower. I was trying to press B to cancel getting out of the minecart. Doesn't work, though. But anyways, that's the end of this video, folks. Jump into the next one, where we will tackle Lanayru Desert. Ooh. You need the cold gear. Oh, yeah. Right. Did that scare them away? Man,